This is the Strandberg Boden Prague NX6 Plini Edition guitar. I've had it for a little over a year now, and I wanted to share more about it with you. So I got this guitar in August of 2023. I reviewed it in December of 2023, and it is now September of 2024. But in my initial review video that I did in December, which if you haven't seen and you want to, I'll leave a link to it in the description of this video, but I said that the gig bag that this guitar comes with did not have straps. And actually there was someone kind enough to inform me in the comments that it actually does have straps. They were just kind of tucked away. So I'm going to show you that in a second, but I just wanted to, again, apologize for the misinformation and thank you to the person that commented letting me know that it does indeed have straps. So thank you. Hello, my name is Bryce, and whether you are new or returning, I just wanted to say thank you for stopping by, and I hope you're well wherever you are. Okay, so real quick, here is the gig bag, and then the straps are here. So they were inside this little pouch here, so you had to unzip it and then pull the straps out, and then I believe they clip down here, and I think these, I don't remember because I did this a year ago, but I believe the clips were tucked underneath this part here. So in case you're wondering, it does have straps, you just have to dig them out. Because this is my second review of the guitar, I'm not going to talk about the specs again. I did that in my initial review, but one thing that I forgot to talk about was the 0 fret, so we're going to talk about that now. So if you don't know what a 0 fret does, I looked it up and I'm still a little confused on what it does, to be honest, but it's my understanding that it helps determine the string height across the rest of the fingerboard, and I guess usually your nut does that as well as determining the string spacing, so the 0 fret alleviates the nut of that responsibility with regards to the string height. I could be misunderstanding that, but just from me doing a quick look up on it, I think that's what I kind of gathered from it. But if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. But yeah, Strandberg does have an article on why they use 0 frets. So if you're interested in that, I'll leave a link to it in the description of this video. And I either knew it had a 0 fret and forgot, or I didn't know it had a 0 fret. And I really think that it was that I didn't know it had a 0 fret. And the reason why I noticed that it did is because I did a string change on it recently. And just a quick side note, I only changed the strings on this guitar once since owning it. So I had the guitar for a year, never changed the strings. So I changed it for the first time at the end of August. And I noticed this noise, and let's see if you can hear it. So you hear that pinging. So I did a string change and I looked it up, and because I thought it was going to be related to the nut, and it was actually suggested that it might be a little dent or scratch on the 0 fret. So I was a little surprised by that because that was my first string change on it, and I don't know if like me not changing the strings for a year led to it getting scratched or dinged. I don't know. I know that it was not pinging like that before the string change, and now after the string change it is pinging. It's not a big deal, and I actually looked it up because Strandberg has an article on how to fix that pinging noise. It doesn't seem like it's a hard fix, and I'm going to do it when I do the next string change, which don't worry, it won't be in a year. But I just wanted to give you a quick update in case you're noticing some pinging on your Strandberg guitar as well. It might be related to the 0 fret. And as a quick side note, I know going a year without changing your strings is a long time. I do not have a good reason for why I did not change the strings. I just didn't do it. Now I'm going to share some quick sound clips with you. My signal chain is the guitar going into my Universal Audio Volt 2 interface, and I'm using the Neural DSP Archetype Nolly X for all of the tones. After owning this guitar for a little over a year now, I can say that I do like this guitar, but I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it at this point in time. So it's like an overall thing. I love how lightweight headless guitars are, and because they don't have a headstock, having a lightweight body, it just balances really well on my body. And this is going to be super niche, but just moving around the house while having the guitar on you is so nice because you don't have to worry about bonking the headstock into things. And then if I want to like lean back in my chair and play like this, or like sit funky on the couch and play, it's easier for me to do that with a headless guitar, and this one is obviously no different. And just talking about Strandberg in general, I really appreciate how they focus on ergonomics and comfort, because I know not all headless guitars are created equal, but yeah, I appreciate that it has an arm carve. It's got the belly cut on the back. I honestly didn't know how I was going to feel about the strap button being back here, but it doesn't really bother me. I am used to having it on the horn on my guitars. My only other guitar that has it back there is my 8-string Abasi. But the thing that I like the most on this guitar, I would say, is definitely having this cutaway down here. It's super nice for playing in this position, which is my preferred position. And usually what I do when I'm playing seated, I still wear my strap, and it is just as comfortable because it's so balanced and lightweight as well. I can go on and on about the things that I like about the guitar. I really like the Rich Light fingerboard comboed with the stainless steel frets, and it just feels really smooth to play. And I like that it has a 20-inch fingerboard radius, and I'll just say this. I have guitars that have a 10-inch fingerboard radius. I have an Abasi that goes from 16 to 21 and a half. This one's 20 all the way down, and I have no issues switching guitars and like saying like, oh, well, you know, this one doesn't feel like it bends as smooth and something like that. But I will say that it is easier to bend on the lower frets on this guitar, and that could be attributed to the 20-inch fingerboard radius. There are two main things that I dislike about the guitar, and these are what's weighing on whether or not I'm going to keep this or let it go and get another headless guitar. So the first thing, which I actually talked about in the review video, has to deal with the contact point at the bridge, and it's specifically with the models that have these tremolo systems that have the bumps. So I'm going to put it up here so hopefully you can see what I'm talking about here. But I mentioned this in my initial review, but it's just kind of, it's fine when I'm down picking, but when I alternate pick, I adjust my wrist like this, and it's really uncomfortable when I'm alternate picking. So that's a little bit of a bummer because I feel like I can't go all out when I'm playing on this guitar and still feel 100% comfortable. But I'm not going to harp on it too much because I already talked about that in my initial review. But one thing I will say is that I did reach out to Strandberg support and asked if they had any recommendations for alternative bridges, because I get it. This is Strandberg's proprietary bridge, and it's a headless multi-scale tremolo bridge. And so it's like, well, how many people are manufacturing that? So I reached out to Strandberg support and asked if they had any recommendations for a different type of bridge for this guitar, and they didn't. But they did provide an option. They said that I could just take it to like a machine shop and have them file down the edges and then like kind of smooth it out, refinish it. So I did appreciate that they at least provided a solution. I don't think I'm going to go that route, but I did appreciate their support was super kind, and at least they gave me an answer, and I appreciated that. The other thing that I'll say that I dislike about this guitar, and this seems a bit harsh, but it's really just like a preference thing for me, but it has to do with the neck, and it is not the Endure neck profile. I'm actually getting used to that now, and I do like it, but it's the finish that they do on their neck. So it's finished with a water-based acrylic satin, and I actually reached out to them again asking if they had any guitars in their production that wasn't finished with this, and they said that no, their current production models all have that finish on it. It's not the end of the world. It is satin, but it does feel a little, I don't know, I don't want to say glossy, but I do notice that when my hands start to get really warmed up and sometimes they get a little sweaty, my hand does stick a little bit, not as much as it would on like a gloss neck, but it is noticeable. That's not the biggest deal for me. I definitely am more okay with that as opposed to the contact on the bridge, but just something that I wanted to mention. And while we're back here, I will mention that this heel joint is actually pretty nice as well. I don't have any issues like sliding up here to the upper frets. I don't have the biggest hands as well. So in case you're curious about that as well, that feels nice and comfortable. After owning this guitar for over a year, I can say that objectively it is a very well built guitar, and I think this guitar will make a lot of people happy, and it does still make me happy. It just is not the most comfortable when it comes to the bridge. I have thought about a couple of alternatives like the Boden Essential, which they actually just came out with a beautiful finish called Future Dusk, so I want to check that one out. But I've also thought about getting another Ibanez Quest because if you didn't know this, I originally had an Ibanez Quest. It was like an HSS one, and I wasn't really vibing with that one so much, but I was looking at maybe getting the one that has dual humbuckers and trying that one out and seeing which one I like better between the Boden Essential and the Ibanez Q. And then we'll see where, if I do end up with one of those, if I end up keeping this one or not. But yeah, this has been my year-long review. If you get the chance to try one of these out, I definitely recommend it. If you have any questions whatsoever, please let me know. And until next time, thank you so much for watching this video. Stay cool like a cloud and have a great day.